It's not going to scare us away. I feel like we're blocking the crime scene tape. Take it back. Okay.
Yeah. For this horse, Michelle, batted, bruised, and now all of a sudden out of sight, out of mind. To stand here in solidarity with NYCLASS and all the dedicated volunteers who are always fighting this horse carriage industry. Try to get the horses back where they need to be, out frolicking, out socializing, in sanctuaries and farmland, which is where they were meant to be, not to be slaves of the horse carriage industry. No, Michelle was out in the streets, unfortunately, severely wounded, emaciated, as you can see from the pictures, and now she's been repurposed, supposedly, in Pennsylvania, but there are also horse slaughterhouses in Pennsylvania, so there's a very real fear that she may have been not put out to pasture, but put to the slaughter.
So, you become the mayor. What action are you going to take about this scandal?
Well, this mayor here promised that he would eliminate the horse-drawn carriages. I will not just eliminate them, but make sure the men and women of the industry actually can be employed to utilize electric carriages, which are being used now as replacement for horse-drawn carriages all over the world, third world countries, first world countries. It's what's happening. So any of the drivers need not fear that they're going to be on the unemployment line. They'll have employment piloting an electric carriage.
Okay, I think we're going to start. All right, we're ready to start. We're going to start. And everybody, if you can just put the masks on. Everybody. Maybe.
Like Trump, no facts.
Video speak volume, buddy.
Video doesn't speak volume.
Video shows a lot. All right.
We are at a crime scene today. Animal abuse is rampant in the New York City horse carriage industry, and it is aided and abetted by the New York City Council and the mayor. And the do-nothing city agencies and an industry-paid vet who rubber stamps this abuse. We are talking to you, City Council and Mayor de Blasio. The abuse has been happening on your watch for years. You are enabling animal abuse. You have the power to end this cruelty. Do something. Michelle is the seriously underweight carriage horse in these pictures that we exposed, covered in painful wounds, forced to pull a carriage all summer long, since March actually, with no brakes. Imagine her agony. Sores all over her body, covered up and rubbed by suffocating, ill-fitting horse tack chained to her body. Ribs sticking out, over 100 pounds underweight. This is torture. Animal cruelty is a crime. Crimes have been committed in this horrific stable, yet there's been no investigation by NYPD's Animal Cruelty Squad. Michelle should never again be chained up by her abusers to a carriage and worked to death. She deserves lifelong love and care at a farm or sanctuary where she can have freedom from her abusers in that building. NYCLASS has a loving home waiting for Michelle. Mayor de Blasio and the City Council, this is on you. Stop aiding and abetting animal abuse. Use your power to end this criminal operation. There's no excuse for animal abuse. Ban horse carriages. Animal abuse. There's no excuse for animal abuse. Ban
Stop reading from the phone. Get the facts.
animal abuse. Ban horse.
Get the facts.
Wait.
Read the
Let's
flyer.
start
The
over.
horse is
Let's start
on.
over.
The
Wait.
vet. Now, the
Let's start
it's
over.
alive.
Wait.
The horse is emaciated. The horse is emaciated.
There's no excuse for horse abuse.
Ban horse carriages!
There's no excuse for horse abuse.
Ban horse carriages!
Farm every year.
Michelle!
They have better benefits than most
Free
city workers.
Michelle from her living hell.
Free Michelle!
From her living hell. From her living hell.
Free Michelle!
From her living hell.
Michelle!
From her living hell. From her living hell.
Yelling, you're scaring the
From her
horses.
living hell.
Yelling, you're scaring the
From
horses.
her living hell.
I was emaciated and in pain!
Carriage drivers are to blame.
Votos mi value!
And in pain!
Carriage drivers are to blame. Ignore him. Ignore him. Carriage drivers are to blame.
I was emaciated and in pain!
Carriage drivers are to blame.
I was emaciated and in pain!
Carriage drivers are to blame. Okay.
Thanks, Anita.
My name is Edita Bernkrant, Executive Director of NYCLASS, spelled EDITA BIRNKRANT. And I just, before the next speaker comes on, I just want to reiterate in the strongest terms possible that Mayor de Blasio and the City Council, this is on you. You are aiding and abetting animal abuse. Do something. End this criminal operation now. So we have a representative from PETA, Ashley Byrne, who should be here momentarily. She's coming from DC. So I am next going to introduce someone who probably needs no introduction. I just want to start off by saying that we are all here today for one purpose, everyone here, to end animal abuse. But it has to be said that NYCLASS does not endorse Curtis Sliwa for mayor and does not endorse his platform. We are here today and welcome anyone who wants to end this rampant criminal animal abuse. But it must be said that this is not an endorsement of Curtis Sliwa. And we have to say that as an organization. And having said that, I want to welcome Curtis Sliwa.
Yay, Curtis!
Thank you, Edita. Thank you, NYCLASS, for allowing me to join you here today. Special thanks, though, to my wife, Nancy, who's been an animal rights activist for many, many years, long before I first met her more than 6 years ago. To Rob, Sarah, and Grace, who have enlightened me on so many of the issues affecting the animal welfare community, things that I think I and many fellow New Yorkers were completely unaware of. But today we're specifically talking about this poor horse, Michelle. You take a look at the pictures, you take a look at the video, it's torture. There's no other way to describe it. It's slavery. And how it is that our city could allow this, it's abominable. There's a Department of Health that's supposed to be overseeing this. They've done nothing. You have an animal cruelty division of the NYPD. They've done nothing. In fact, you actually have an animal welfare division in City Hall that consists of only one person alone. They have done nothing. So, under the cover of darkness, this poor horse, badly injured Michelle, supposedly has been transported to Pennsylvania and put out to pasture so that it can recover, a vacation they call it. Can you imagine if child welfare was made aware of the abuse of a child? Would they then allow that family or the guardians of that child to transport that child to other family members across state lines? That would be an outrage. We would all be complaining about saying, you can't allow the abusers to then cause the child to be replaced somewhere else, out of sight, out of mind. We're calling for complete transparency.
Transparency!
You have this great organization, NYCLASS, that already has a home for Michelle. A home that will be visible where you can see Michelle live out the rest of her lives in peace, in tranquility, frolicking with its fellow horses, socializing, not looking doom and gloom as we've seen, not just from the pictures and the video that NYCLASS provided, but also you can see on a day-to-day basis, the horses' heads are down on the ground. There is no life, there is no vitality. If we saw a human being in this condition, we would call that slavery, indentured servitude. And so now it's time, with this case of Michelle, to use it. A clarion call to all of us to end this barbaric behavior. Electric carriages are the route to go. Bombay, which I visited years ago, had horse-drawn carriages. It's now Mumbai.
Mumbai, yes. Mumbai
Electric
has electric
carriages.
So does Guadalajara, Mexico. They transitioned the carriage. The former horse carriage drivers say it's better. They make more money. And other cities can do this.
Right.
We should do this.
Santo Domingo does it.
Yes, Santo Domingo.
Cologne, Germany.
Yes.
So you see, first world countries and third world countries have considered it a barbaric way to treat horses, and they have segued out to electric carriages. I say to the men and women of TWU 100 that I've known for 42 years leading the Guardian Angels, because they're down in the subways. They are the motormen, conductors, the maintenance men and women. They are the track workers. I am going to personally, Adita, go up to all of them on our many patrols, hand out literature saying, look, we know you want to protect your fellow union members. We know it's a transportation union, but the horse carriage drivers will be retrained, repurposed to take care of the electric carriages. They will be gainfully employed. And the horses can live a decent, normal life as they should. I just want to close with these remarks. A society that does not take care of its animals, and I think enough of you know that I and my wife Nancy have 16 rescue cats, and many of the people here have so often gone out of their way to rescue dogs, cats, animals, and horses, that a society that does not care for its animals, look at how we treat our emotionally disturbed. Look how we treat our homeless. No compassion. Today should signal, with Michelle's fate, which is in limbo, we have no idea what has happened to Michelle. Then we're going to put an end to this once and for all. There will be no more horse-drawn carriages, no more abuse of animals, and we should all get behind NYCLASS for piloting this effort and other volunteers in the animal rescue community who have led the way. I have just recently joined all of you. I have been enlightened, and there's so many hundreds of thousands out there. I think I can reach, because they may have been in the same mindset 10 years ago that I and others were. It's barbaric. It's inhumane. It must stop today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, I just want to reiterate, I see there's some media that came late, and we have Ashley Byrne here from PETA. I just want to reiterate that we're holding crime scene tape because this is the scene of a crime. Animal abuse is a crime. It's not even being investigated. And every member of the city council and Mayor de Blasio is aiding and abetting this animal abuse of Michelle and so many other horses who don't have names. So we're going to have Ashley Byrne from PETA speak next. Thank you.
Thanks, Adita. PETA is joining NYCLASS and everyone here today in calling on the industry to let this horse retire to a sanctuary. Let Michelle be placed in a sanctuary, because we have seen too many sick and injured horses like Michelle disappear. So we're asking the industry to let her go to a sanctuary instead of to slaughter. And as much as this is the fault of the industry, it's also the fault of the city for allowing these drivers to constantly flout the most basic rules designed to protect horses from abuse and from being overworked. the fact that Michelle was allowed to be out working on the street for over a week with these sores on her body and her ribs sticking out, her bones sticking out, shows that the drivers, they have no regard for these horses' most basic needs, and they know that the city is not going to do anything about it. They know that the city is asleep at the wheel. The Department of Health is doing nothing. They're not doing their job, and that needs to end now. It's unacceptable. This industry has shown again and again that it cannot be regulated, that it will not follow the rules. It has no place in our city. It's a travesty, it's a shame, it's a blight on New York City to have emaciated, sick, wounded horses pulling carriages around Central Park. It's time for it to end. We need to ban this industry, and in the meantime, the Department of Health and the Animal Cruelty Task Force need to do their jobs, step up and protect these horses, because we know the drivers, the owners, and the industry won't. So, thank you.
Let's start up that chant again. There's no excuse for animal abuse.
Ban horse carriages.
There's no excuse for animal abuse.
Ban horse carriages.
There's no excuse for Michelle's abuse.
Ban horse carriages.
There's no excuse for Michelle's abuse.
Ban horse carriages.
There's no excuse for Michelle's abuse.
Ban horse carriages.
So does anyone have any questions? Any media have any questions?
De Blasio, when he originally ran, he talked about banning this,
Yes.
and obviously he's backtracked on that. What do you think of that?
Yes, well, yes, he made a campaign promise that he did not keep. We were able to make some legislative and administrative changes by at least passing NYCLASS's Carriage Horse Heat Relief Bill. Imagine that we had to bust our asses to pass a bill to not force these criminals to work horses in the most brutal heat waves. And that law still isn't enough, because guess what? Michelle worked all last week for most of that heat wave. Only for certain hours they're called in. And we were able to move the horses off of Central Park South and into the park, but this is a drop in the bucket. There is obviously no way to end the rampant animal abuse of this industry. You have the industry paid vet. Take a look at this horse. The industry paid vet, Dr. Dennis Farrell, gave a rubber stamp for this horse to work. We are writing a letter of complaint. Don't engage. We are writing a letter of complaint to the veterinary board, because any vet
Can I just join Adita in saying
how
that?
can anyone, how could Christina Hansen have allowed this horse to be worked since March? Animal abuser. Animal abuser! 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 Animal abuser!
Where is Michelle?
That's the facts.
Where is Michelle?
That's the facts, Adina.
Where is Michelle?
This is what this industry
They gave you a
supports.
flyer. Read the
Animal
facts.
abuser.
Like Donald Trump, you can't figure out the truth from the lies.
Okay.
The vets who rubber stamp these horses have the industry's bottom line in mind, not the
Paid by
horse's
them.
well-being.
They're paid by the
They're
industry.
paid by the industry.
Any vet that would rubber stamp this horse needs to go.
This is an example of the fact that these vets are protecting the industry. They're not protecting the horses who they're supposed to be looking out for.
Exactly.
These horses cannot be protected as long as they are at the mercy of drivers and an industry that sees their most basic needs and their well-being as a nuisance.
And to finish answering your question, Mayor de Blasio and the current city council are still in power for several more months, and we are waiting and watching. I don't know what else it's going to take. They are aiding and abetting clear animal abuse. They need to take action. Tomorrow, next week, they could introduce legislation to transition this industry. Stop engaging with them. To transition this industry, as other cities have done, to electric carriages. Mumbai, Guadalajara, Mexico, Santo Domingo, Chicago just got horse carriages off the street. Barcelona, Montreal, Toronto, London, Paris, the list goes on and on. We need to join the 21st century of animal welfare, and the abuse couldn't be more blatant. They're not even trying to hide the abuse, and their vet is rubber stamping it. The only solution is to ban horse carriages. Transition to a humane alternative. Electric carriages are the answer.
Yes.
Woo! So you know what? Let's.
Plan on building buildings here.
We have crime scene tape. I think we should stand in front of these carriages with the crime scene.
Around here, Anita.
Let's stand.
You guys plan on developing all of this property and putting these hard-working
Touch the
immigrants out
carriages.
there?
Just stand in front of them.
Ladies and women, don't touch the carriages. It's private property.
Yo, Oliver, can you hold this? I'm just gonna go close up.
There's no excuse for Michelle's abuse. Ban horse carriages. There's no excuse for Michelle's abuse. Ban horse carriages. There's no excuse for Michelle's abuse. Ban horse carriages. There's no excuse for Michelle's abuse. Ban horse carriages. There's no excuse for Michelle's abuse. Ban horse carriages. Who has a double stamp on that? Michelle is emaciated and in pain. Carriage drivers are to blame. Michelle is emaciated and in pain. Carriage drivers are to blame. Free Michelle from her living hell.
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 There's no excuse for horse abuse.
Ban horse carriages.
There's no excuse for horse abuse.
Ban horse carriages.
Mayor de Blasio, every member of the city council, we are talking to you. You are aiding and abetting this animal abuse on our city streets. We expect you to do something. Stop enabling animal cruelty. There's no excuse for animal abuse.
Ban horse carriages.
There's no excuse for animal abuse.
Ban horse carriages.
There's no excuse for animal abuse.
Ban horse carriages.
There's no excuse for animal abuse.
Ban horse carriages.
There's no excuse for animal abuse.
Ban horse carriages.
There's no excuse for Michelle's abuse.
Ban horse carriages.
There's no excuse for Michelle's abuse.
Ban horse carriages.
There's no excuse for Michelle's abuse.
Ban horse carriages.
There's no excuse for Michelle's abuse.
Ban horse carriages.
Michelle is emaciated and in pain.
Carriage drivers are to blame.
Michelle is emaciated and in pain.
Carriage drivers are to blame.
Let's edit that one to say city council is to blame. Michelle is emaciated and in pain.
City council is to blame.
Michelle is emaciated and in pain.
City council is to blame.
Michelle is emaciated and in pain.
City council is to blame.
For all the council members, this is their last term. Don't have your legacy be that you aided and abetted this outright blatant animal abuse. You have plenty of time to pass legislation to transition this heinous animal abuse happening every goddamn day, to transition this to a cruelty-free alternative that already is thriving in other cities. We are watching you, we are waiting, we are expecting this to happen immediately.
Hurry up, City Council. They don't want to develop all this property. NYCLASS is funded by big business and real estate moguls. They want to develop all of this. It's not about the horse carriages. It's
We
about
have a
development
moral
in the
and
city of New
ethical
York.
obligation to do
That's
right
what's going
by the
on.
most
That's the
offensive
fact.
in our
Look up the
society.
facts,
And
all
the
right?
city fails every single day. A moral and
It's
ethical
about big
obligation.
business. It's about money. That's the fact. That's the fact. On the floor.
For animal abuse!
And horse carriages. No excuse excuse for animal abuse. Ban horse carriages. There's no excuse for animal abuse. Ban horse carriages. There's no excuse for animal abuse.
Ban horse carriages.
No excuse for animal abuse.
Ban horse carriages.
You're disgusting. Who's
No excuse for animal abuse.
Ban horse carriages.
No excuse for animal abuse.
Ban horse carriages.
You're not alive.
Go to lunch. He's fired.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Does media have any other questions?